Okay, Assalamualaikum everybody. Alright, now I will share with you on how to prepare for your chapter 1 for your research proposal report. The purpose of chapter 1 is to actually highlight the problem statement, okay? A reflection of the problem statement and identify how the study will be accomplished. Okay, for chapter 1, the content usually consists of the project background, the problem statement, project aims, research question and objective, the research scope, significance of study, and lastly the conclusion. Okay, we will go through this point one by one of this point in following slides. Okay, we will start our chapter 1 with background of study or introduction, where in this background of study, we briefly introduce the history or evolution for the area of research, and then we introduce what else need to be done. Okay, the current scenario, what is happening currently, and then we move to introducing briefly the argument or the problem statement that we are facing in the current situation, and then the justification of proposed solution, the focus of our research, and why is it important. Okay, further we will look at example on how to write the first part of chapter 1. Okay, the introduction or background of study. Okay, the working title is the development of computer animation in chemistry using constructivist approach. Look at how the author wrote the history. Okay, it started with Malaysia has given a high priority to educational development since independence in 1957. Okay, a general perspective on educational development. Okay, then the emphasis on science education is narrowed down to science education, started in 1960 in response to report by the Education Review Committee, which called for explicit commitment to improve the quality of science education. Okay, for this statement, okay, it is suggested maybe if you have some citation, put citation to support the statement. Then it further goes to 1960, general science was taught as a compulsory subject at the lower secondary level. Since then, science education in Malaysia has undergone several changes and innovation. Then in 1969, the Ministry of Education, through Curriculum Development Centre, adapted Scottish Integrated Science Syllabus for lower secondary school science to replace the existing general science subject. Then, subsequently, in 1972, the newly formed Curriculum Development Centre introduced new science subject, modern physics, chemistry, and biology. Okay, and then for upper secondary non-science stream student, the modern science subject was introduced in 1970. Okay, the evolution of education development in Malaysia. Then what else need to be done, or briefly explain the current scenario or the current situation on education development. This is only guidelines. Some people they have their own way of writing, but basically this is only the point. Okay, point that we should include in our introduction part. Okay, let's look at this example. Okay, the teaching and learning strategies for science subject which utilize guided inquiry continued with the implementation of new integrated secondary school curriculum in 1989, which stressed the development of scientific skill through guided inquiry activities, where students are actively involved in solving and discovering scientific phenomena through investigation. Okay, then again, you need to put some citation to support this statement. So the current scenario is students studying science through guided inquiry activities. So they explain how the guided inquiry activities is implemented. Okay, then it goes on. Therefore, in daily practice, guided inquiry is implemented mostly for doing experiment, where the teacher provides the material and problem for the students to investigate, emphasizing the scientific process skills such as observation and data collection. So this is where the problem that need to be studied. Okay, so basically what else need to be done is you explain or elaborate on current scenario. The next point is briefly introduce the argument. Okay, look at how the author highlight the issue or the argument that the current scenario is facing. So, for example, realizing the learning science is more than acquiring science process skill through guided inquiry activities. It is about time to implement the constructivist learning theory. Okay, to highlight the importance of students' active engagement and constructive personal meaning of the subject matter. Okay, as stressed by the author, okay, put some year there. Mean you cite a statement from another paper, from specific paper. Okay, constructivist learning give emphasis to an active search for meaning and understanding by individual students, where they construct deep understanding through social activities and interaction with others. Okay, this approach takes into consideration students' prior knowledge, belief, and attitudes, as well as encourage discussion in order to help them acquire new concept. So here we put citation if there is citation to support again, to again support the argument. Next, we further move to see how the author wrote on justification of proposed solution. Okay, for example, in the Malaysian educational system, chemistry is taught as one of the core single subject and re-emphasized at the post-secondary level. Basically, it is relatively easy for students to discover simple basic concept in chemistry through guided inquiry approach. An important issue here is how students can understand chemistry concept because they possess different levels of abstractness. Okay, and put some citation here to show that there is an issue of learning chemistry, okay, because they possess different levels of abstractness. Okay, so you need to cite. Okay, for problem statement, you need to do some citation to highlight the importance or the issue there. And then therefore, instead of relying the scientific skill through guided inquiry activities as practiced by most chemistry teachers, the focus of this study is to investigate the effectiveness using animation based on the constructivist approach to teaching and learning chemistry. Okay, so the focus is to investigate effectiveness using animation based on constructivist approach to learning and teaching and learning chemistry. So, this is justification of proposed solution. Lastly, for the introduction part, so we highlight why is it important. Okay, why is it important to introduce our proposed solution for the problem? While computer technologies have the potential to be integrated with the constructivist derived approach, okay, they also place specific demand on teachers to choose or develop appropriate computer presentation that facilitate a student's own understanding through activities and interaction during science classes. For this proposed work, okay, research is needed to investigate how to integrate the latest computer technologies within constructivist mode, consistent with the objective of chemistry education in Malaysia. This is the intention of the study, okay, to design an animation-aided constructivist approach to instruction and to test its implementation in the Malaysian context. So this is basically the content of your first part in chapter 1, the introduction or the background study. Now we move to the second part of chapter 1, writing the problem statement. Okay, problem statement is center attention of your research. Okay, to obtain a problem statement, there are two ways. The first one is from primary source. Primary source means that you get the problem statement by interviewing, for example, or giving questionnaire or some observation on current situation, on observe whether there exists a problem to the current situation. And the second secondary sources, and the second is from secondary sources, where we seek for proof of existence of the problem through thorough literature review or work of others. Okay, that is two ways of obtaining the problem statement. Okay, in writing the problem statement, these are a few guidelines. Okay, the first one is we present the existing problem. Okay, and then we move to present policy or methods that no longer seems to be effective. And we highlight something that need close attention. We highlight current trend, need or technology that need to be adapted and changed accordingly. We will look at one example for problem statement. Okay, within search methodologies, meta heuristic has been shown to be particularly effective for many combinatorial optimization problem. Okay, 21 is a citation. Okay, there are ways of writing citation. So here they put numbers. Okay, so however, okay, this statement present the existing problem. Okay, existing current situation. However, from a practical point of view, there are still challenging issues for practitioners to use meta heuristic successfully. So this is the existing problem. Okay, and then firstly, meta heuristic usually require complicated and crucial parameter tuning. These often demand intensive knowledge resulting into higher cost of implementation and maintenance. Secondly, and then meta-heuristic tend to be finely tuned for solving specific problem or even specific instance. This often leads to limited reusability to other problem domains. Okay, in fact, most meta-heuristic are designed only for narrow class of a specific problem. Okay, so here, okay, we can see that the point it present the existing problem, and also it present present methods of policy that no longer seems to be effective. Okay, more from the example. Okay, this highlights something that need close attention. Okay, for example, meta heuristic are being used to construct examination timetable. The problem domain here to be solved is the examination timetable by using meta heuristic. So they have some issue with meta heuristic. Okay, so they highlight the issue that need close attention. Okay, here many meta heuristic often require extensive research, development, and parameter tuning. A more detailed discussion of these issues can be found in site 10, in article number 10. So this is point number 3 for writing the problem statement. Okay, this is more examples on present methods of policy that is no longer seems to be effective. Okay, I won't read all, but I would like to highlight that it says that it is often not reusable for variants of problem. Okay, this is only a statement that to highlight the methods of policy that is no longer seems to be effective. Okay, then we further move to highlight the current trend, need or technology that need to be adapted, that can be used to solve the problem. Okay, for example, therefore there is a demand from many small and medium-sized companies for cheaper problem solvers which are capable of producing good enough solutions instead of high cost, complex and domain intensive system. One such approach is to address this issue is hyperheuristic. So they want to introduce hyperheuristic that can solve this problem. So which are an automated methodology for selecting or generating heuristic to solve hard computational search problem. So, and then unlike many existing search methods, so they highlight the benefit of using hyperheuristic. Okay, so that is the example, okay, how to write the problem statement. Okay, it is a good practice that you cite, you do some citation for writing your problem statement. Next is part 3 of your chapter 1. Here we define the project aim, research question, and objective. Okay, for part 3, okay, in chapter 1, okay, we present the steps taken to solve our problem. Okay, the first thing is we need to define the project aim. Okay, what is project aim? Project aim is a generalized statement that describes the area we are investigating. For example, a simple title, a simple aim, project aim is to study the effect of lighting in 3D modeling. Okay, it does not detail out the steps. It only tell you what to do. Okay, what we need to do, okay, to study the effect of lighting in 3D modeling. So the next one is we set up research question. Okay, research question help in making plan for research. And then the third element for this part is we set up the objective. Okay, what is objective? Objective are series of steps taken to accomplish the aim. The objective must be in chronological order to the task that has to be done. Okay, we will look in further in following slides. Okay, next is the research question. Okay, what is actually the research question? Okay, for a project, okay, there can be several experiments that we should or we need to do, okay, in order to achieve our aims. Okay, so research question is like a kind of a brainstorming session. Okay, to think of the action that we should take in order to accomplish the aim or task. Okay, for example, here, if our research aims is in the category of describe and exploring. So the research question that formulations, okay, that we should think of is what are the characteristic of X? How has X changed over time? So this can be done either by literature review or a series of experiment. Same goes for explaining and testing. Okay, so and then evaluating and acting. So what are the advantage and disadvantage of X? How effective is X? So this can be execute or this can be done through experiment, series of experiment. Okay, after research question, okay, or sometimes when you read in example thesis or paper, sometimes research question can be before research objective, and also sometimes you find it can be placed after research objective. Okay, for research proposal, in this case, it does not matter where you put your research question. It's only, we can say research question is the thing that we need to brainstorm in order to do experiment. Okay. Okay, we will look at one example for research question and research objective. For example, here we have a research objective to compare the blood-related problem, characteristic, and constraint. Okay, in order to achieve this objective, so what are the research questions? Okay, so for example, the research question is what are the characteristic and constraint of the blood-related problem? So what should we do in order to compile? So we need to find the characteristic and constraint. So this one, we should do the literature review. Okay, now number 2 is to evaluate the performance of new algorithm for solving vehicle routing problem in Kuza City. So the research question is what are the most effective method to improve the vehicle routing problem in Kuza City? So some people they first thought of research question, then they can create a research objective. But somehow some people they think of a research objective first and then research question. So that's why I say that it does not matter where you put your research question and your research objective. It can be before, research question can be before research objective or can be placed after research objective, right? Okay, we will look at several ways of writing objective. Okay, normally objective is limited to 3 to 5. Okay, and we can divide our objective into one general aim and 3 to 4 specific one. Okay, we have already go through the aim just now, and now we will specifically look at how to write the objective. Okay, for example, in this figure, we will see that in the middle, okay, to establish effect of diet on mental health. Okay, this is the aim. Okay, so there are three objectives has been determined in order to achieve this aim. The first one is to determine if processed food make the depression worse. Okay, the second one is we want to identify foods that improve mood. And the third one, okay, to measure if portion sizes have an impact on. Okay, this is we brainstorm the aim and also the objective. Okay, in order to write a good objective, okay, we must use the right language. Okay, start is each objective with an action verb. Okay, verb like use, understand, and study are vague and weak. We cannot see how to do some action based on like to use, to understand, to study. So we must be specific. For instance, okay, choose words like calculate, compare, and assess, a measurable verb. Okay, for example, we want to compare the muscle development of or children who play video games to children who don't. Okay, and then the second example, to assess whether or not video games cause eye strain. And the third example is to determine if video games inhibit a child's socialization skill. Okay, that is example for using the right language. Okay, more examples on writing objective. Okay, state each objective clearly and concisely. The objective should be one sentence at most. It is advisable you write in one sentence. Okay, use clear, simple, and actionable language. For example, to determine if processed foods make depression worse, to identify food that improve mood, to measure if portion sizes have an impact on mood. Okay, so these are the examples, more examples. Okay, next, use specific words so readers know what your goals are. Okay, use specific language rather than being vague. For example, to determine if sunlight is harmful. Okay, this is quite a general statement. Okay, so it is advisable that we write determine if prolonged sun exposure increase subject risk of skin cancer. So this is more specific. So the goal is regarding skin cancer. Okay, lastly, okay, state your objective as outcome rather than a process. Okay, for example, given here, measure the effect of radiation on living tissue. So it is advisable for us to write, for example, to determine what level of radiation is dangerous to living tissue. Okay, that is all for guideline on writing objective. Okay, you can brainstorm, okay, the research question, the research objective, okay, and then you can use this guideline in order to write your objective and also your research question. Okay, part 4 of chapter 1 is our project scope. Okay, what is project scope? Project scope is defined in terms of temporal, for example, time, chronology, geographical, sampling, technological coverage, the level of sophistication of the study in relation to its goal. Okay, scope also determine what are the boundary, the limitation of our work, inner boundary, what should be included in the project, outer boundary, what will not be in the project. Okay, for example, time. Okay, our project is only consider data from maybe you are studying on Gen X. Maybe Gen X is within this year to that year. That is time. Also, maybe we are doing a chat box only specific for website in UITM. Okay, you specifically tells the boundary. And also, you can also present the limitation. For example, our project does not consider certain, for example, those having health problems such as etc. etc. Okay, I think project scope is something not difficult for you to define. Okay, so we will look at one example afterwards. Okay, so this is example for scope. Okay, this project will be focusing on the green vehicle routing problem. As we know, for example, vehicle routing problem has so many variants. So it's specific on only the work is only focusing on green vehicle routing problem. And so the method will be applied to green vehicle routing dataset with size less than 50. Okay, this is only example. Okay, you can elaborate more on scope. Lastly, the final part of your chapter 1, significance of the research. Okay, significance of research is determine who benefit from the study and how that specific audience will benefit from its finding. Okay, we can write from research point of view, importance of our research project, what is the importance, why is it important, usefulness of the research project, what is the usefulness of the project, why is it useful, and then benefit of the research project, what are the benefits, who benefit from the project. So you can always elaborate, okay, from many aspects the significance of the research. Basically, the significance is the benefit of the project. Okay, I think that's all for chapter 1. Some guidelines for you uh, to refer, okay, when writing the chapter 1. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.